Welcome to The Arts Are the Answer, a co-production of the Arts Council for Monterey County and Access Monterey Peninsula. I'm Steve Ellzey, Executive Producer for AMP.
And I'm Paulette Lynch, Executive Director of the Arts Council for Monterey County. Over the next 30 minutes, artists, educators, and presenters will share their stories and their passions.
And also how the arts bring joy and vitality into our lives.
It all starts right now. I'm here with Will Bullas, nationally acclaimed artist who's also serving now as the president of the Carmel Art Association. Will, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure. Glad to see you again.
One thing that always amazes me about the artists in our area is so many of them, like yourself, have lived all over the world and your work is shown everywhere. Why is it that you are choosing to not just live here, but you're a leader?
We all have the opportunity to do this, okay? I think the more I get involved with the Monterey County and people of Monterey County, and my wife and I moved here 38 years ago, right out of art school, okay? Fell in love with it right away. We knew at that time it was an art colony, and 38 years ago it was an art colony. There was a pretty tight organization of artists, writers, filmmakers, etc. And we fell in love with that feel that people had here. Plus, physically, the Monterey Peninsula is amazing.
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. There's a whole variety of eco cultures that you can go visit here, but we just fell in love with the entire thing. And once we got here, we both knew that we had to figure out how to pay rent. Okay?
Yes, that's the trick.
And that's frightening. Today it's frightening for me. I've been out of work for about 38 years now, okay. Actually, between jobs, okay. Yeah, right. I'm holding out for upper management, so if you hear of anything, let me know. But it was one of those things where we got right into it. I went to work for Herald Printers and told them I actually could run a printing press. So ran printing presses for them, which became invaluable. Claudia also got a job with them as a typesetter layout artist.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got some real fundamentals as far as the printing world, which today is extremely valuable for us, dealing with the internet and so on, and our own website and so on. And it slowly grew. But I think artists are very special people, okay? They attract each other, okay? Possibly opposites attract in other worlds, but I think artists attract each other. There may be a little bit of jealousy at first, or envy, okay? Oh, you're in a gallery, how do I get in the gallery, and so on. But as time went on, we had our micro-socialization at that time, where we were passing on secrets, information. You know, did you get the new artist newsletter? Well, no, I didn't. Well, you can subscribe to that almost for free and get the information that there's going to be a traveling show here. We started out doing road shows. Claudia had a client who mentioned to her, whose artwork is this on the wall in your office? Oh, that's my husband's. So he said, oh, do you know about the traveling XYZ show? You know, you go to shopping malls, you go to parking lots or whatever, and you set up and pay $10 a space and so on, and you do this. And it was the very beginning of learning to deal with the public.
Wow.
People would look at your artwork, and it really made a very short period of changing your artwork, because all of a sudden you were aware of what people were interested in, what they would spend their hard money on, and you kind of began, there was the hatchlings of marketing. Like, oh, okay. I had a gentleman very early on who I had done a painting of, beginning my series of whimsical animals and so on, like duct tape and rhinoceros and things like that. And I had done something like that, and the gentleman said, I really appreciate your skill, but that title has got to go.
Oh, is that right?
And I thought, you son of a gun, I'll show you. And so I really took a big turn then, and I had been enjoying and loving the plays on words, okay, whether it is duct tape.
It's wonderful.
Because it's not duct tape, it's duct tape and so on. And a whole variety of things, just a twist in one letter here and one letter there, like rhinoceros, okay. In fact, rhinoceros has been on the shelf for so long and been such a popular image and had such a great life of its own that I have to concentrate to say rhinoceros, okay, because it's always rhinoceros. And it grew out of that, a whole lot of things. And then little by little became dear friends. Some of our dearest friends are still with us. Lucas Block and his lovely wife, we've been friends for 36 years. Lucas used to work for another company in town, and he was actually their art director and was delivering artwork to the small print shop that I was working at. And we'd start hey, how are you? It's good to see you again, and he'd say, that last batch of things you printed, really worked out fine, so on. So we started doing a little more talking. Hey, what do you do? Oh, well, I actually am an artist, okay, but I work at XYZ company. Yeah, and so started exchanging that kind of information, okay, and then say, hey, why don't we get together for dinner? Ran into the old Luckies out in Carmel Valley and said, let's get together for dinner. And that friendship started right there. The seed was planted, and we've been dear best friends ever since, okay, and just absolutely love it, and our relationship back and forth. And Lucas, being very savvy in the digital world, okay, has always been willing to exchange some ideas about software and where we're going with things and so on, and catching up with the digital world.
So that's the whole digital world, online. That seems to have changed absolutely everything for everyone. Can you talk a little bit more about how it's made it both maybe easier and more challenging for you, both as an artist and as somebody who is very active in marketing your art as well?
Well, in the beginning, it started to feed off of itself, okay? You got your first edition of Photoshop 2.0 or something, and you started playing with that. So how can I use this? And then as things slowly started exploding, and I very much believe in baby steps, okay? You take one little step at a time, cautious, look around, make sure you're not being followed, and then move on. Share with your friends, and it really brought together this pool of incredible knowledge, incredible information. It's not like, well, I know how to do Photoshop, and you don't, okay? It's like, let me tell you how to do this, okay?
Isn't that great?
You click here, you pull there. But it slowly started, and then I think I know, okay, those who had at least a 2-digit IQ said, where can we go with this? What can we do with it? What tool can we turn this into? And it's already wonderful tools, and not just Photoshop, but a whole variety of things.
Right.
Access to the internet. Where can we go with this if all of a sudden I get a licensee that's on the other side of the planet? How do I get that information there, okay? Well, I have the tools, okay? Today, the artists have the tools to go anywhere, do anything, and you cannot stop that.
I know you're thinking about the younger artists or people who are not necessarily younger, but they're newer in what they're doing. What's the one or two things that you just really want them to embody or to feel as they move through their process that you've had to learn maybe even the hard way?
Well, what's interesting is because now we are becoming more business-like. Artists are becoming more business-like. The tools are there, whether it's marketing for idiots or however you want. But the access is there, and I say explore slowly, use your talents, okay, and paint every day, every time, every minute you can, because the theory is the more you paint, the better you get, okay? That's my theory, and I think the painting I finished up yesterday is a lot better than the one I did 35 years ago. But in theory, okay, there are some people who would argue that. But I think slowly, the baby steps, test the waters, slowly, the tools are there, and talk with people. Socialize, talk, because a lot of times I'll get on the internet and I'll say, hey, anybody out there know about X, Y, and Z? I can't figure it out, whether it's a data problem or marketing or something else or doing something. And you'll get 10 people say, oh, I found a really good way to do this, This is how you screw a light bulb in. And who knew it was that easy, okay? So that. Test the water slowly, patience. It's not going to come overnight, The entire world is not made of every one of us standing in line to win lottery, okay? So many of us are never, ever going to win the lottery, okay? But it depends on where you call lottery, okay? And where you want that. And you can, within yourself, within this confines, do it. And don't be afraid, because there are people out there who say, hey, I was in your shoes. I know exactly what that's like, and here's my solution for it. And you make continuous friends who help support you, and you support them back. The Carmel Art Association specifically has so many, what I like to refer to as empowered artists who are awakening to the world of marketing, to the world of self-satisfaction within their artwork and not afraid to show it. It's a very unique situation.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been so great to talk with you.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for your service to the area.
Thank you.
I am very excited to have with me in the studio today the Curator of Marketing and Community Engagement for the National Steinbeck Center, Marcos Cabrera. Marcos, welcome to the Arts of the Answer.
Hi, thanks, Steve. Glad to be here.
When someone who hasn't been there visits for the first time, What can they expect to see?
The main exhibit hall is the Steinbeck Exhibition Hall, which features lots of unique tidbits from Steinbeck's history. We're talking about John Steinbeck, the Nobel Prize and Pulitzer Prize winning author from Salinas, born and raised. Among the things, the highlights in that exhibit is the Rosa Conti, which is actually the truck that Steinbeck drove with his poodle, Charlie, all across America during travels with Charlie. That seems to be a big hit with our visitors. Other exhibits feature a lot of his books. East of Eden, there's a site devoted strictly to Cannery Row, to the Red Pony, of Mice of Men, and also to the Grapes of Wrath, which is actually coming up on the 75th anniversary next year. We're going to be hosting a year-long celebration of the book, which is many considered to be his most important work. It was certainly referenced a lot when he won the Nobel Prize. The center actually recently completed a journey through Route 66, where we retraced the steps of the Joad family from the Grapes of Wrath book. We went from Oklahoma all the way to Bakersfield in an RV, and we collected oral histories, and that'll be, some of those will be presented next year as part of our festival.
Now, if someone wants to visit, but wants to plan their visit in advance, is there a way that they can do that?
Well, Steinbeck.org, which is our website, that is a good kind of primer on the exhibits that are up. So you could, just take a look at the exhibition halls. Currently, we have two art exhibits up. One is, actually three, excuse me. One is dedicated to the Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos was celebrated on November 1st and 2nd. So we have an exhibit featuring a lot of papier-mâché skeletons and skulls. We have, by the Linares family from Mexico City, we have an exhibit celebrating the 300th anniversary of Father Junipero Serra, who founded 9 of the original California missions. And then we also have a graffiti exhibit in our agricultural wing, which is actually by a local artist named Liam DeLeo. So you can go to steinbeck.org and you can kind of get a sense for the exhibits. You can get a sense for the Steinbeck Exhibition Hall. And also, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/National Steinbeck Center. I'm posting daily just kind of tidbits about Steinbeck, and also some just posts about our upcoming events and all things kind of in the Steinbeck world. We're on Twitter, twitter.com/Steinbeck Center. And, we're using those social media outlets right now to try and put our brand out there a little more.
Excellent. I'm going to friend you then.
Absolutely.
And like your page, too.
Please like it, yes.
Okay, without a doubt. Now, what about events? I'm sure they could probably find them at steinbeck.org, but what do you have going on in January or February or March?
January, we do have our first Friday event, which is another part of our community outreach. The first Friday of each month, there is an art walk through Old Town Salinas, and generally from 5 to 8 p.m. we'll be open, and we invite the community in to check out some of our exhibits. The Steinbeck Exhibition Hall is usually not open during that period, but folks can check out our other arts exhibits. We also will usually do some sort of programming. This past Friday, we actually lit up the Tree of Life, which is hovering over the Steinbeck Center right now. This in January, we're still working out our programming, but that's going to be going down 5 to 8 p.m. January 3rd, I believe, is the first Friday. Okay. And then going kind of further down the road, I previously mentioned our Steinbeck Festival, which takes place the first weekend of May. Okay. Like I said, that involves the 75th anniversary of the Grapes of Wrath. We're going to have some exhibits from some of the artists that we took with us along on that journey that I mentioned. And we'll also have some great speakers talking about the book, talking about Steinbeck in general. Our scholar in residence, Susan Schillinglaw, who is the queen of Steinbeck as far as we're concerned. She will be giving some lectures and hosting some events. So, we're just trying to, push along our programming for the 75th anniversary Grapes of Wrath next year. That's what we're really excited about right now.
Wonderful. Steinbeck.org?
Steinbeck.org, yes.
All right. Well, people can find that quite easily.
Yes.
Marcos, thank you so much for joining us on The Arts of the Answer. It's been great having you here.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, My name is Walter Ryce. I'm the arts writer at the Monterey County Weekly, and I'm glad to have on the show Hanif Pani, aka Hanif Wondir. Hanif is an artist, a graphic designer, and also a DJ, MC, and a musician. Hanif, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, sir.
Yes, indeed. Tell me about when when art first entered into your life and stuck.
It was pretty much my entire life. My mom was a painter when I was really young, and she was a painter before I was born. She would always kind of have a canvas out when I'd be running around with my brothers, and so I'd want to go paint with her sometimes, and she'd give me the little piece of paper, and I'd go and paint and help her paint a bird on one of her cliffs or something like that. That was way back in the '80s.
Where was this? Where'd you guys live?
We lived in South San Francisco.
Okay.
And so she was, working mom of 3 kids, and when she had a minute, she could, set up a easel and get down in the kitchen or something. And anytime that we had little art projects in school, she'd always kind of give me ideas.
So, did you formally take classes, art classes?
Since high school. And then I got into college and started taking more studio art classes and kind of trying to go around the gamut and seeing what I was comfortable with, doing experimental animation classes and kind of film classes, as well as like experimental drawing and figure drawing classes, and a lot of really studio intense classes that are like 3 hours long, doing one thing rather than a class where it was just like, okay, this week we're gonna do contour line drawings, and this week it was a lot more intense. Okay. So that's what I graduated with in school.
Okay. And I know also that music has been part of your life for a long time, and has it influenced your art, and how has it influenced the visual art that you do?
Yes, it has. Yeah, definitely. A lot of it's, like I said before, promotional stuff. So with the music that I'm doing, or if I'm doing a show or something, it's really handy to be able to make my own promotional material, because I got the vibe of what the show's all about. Or if I know the artist that's opening, then it's good. It's kind of like cutting out the middleman a little bit. As far as the music playing a part in the style that I have, you could see elements, I guess, of if we want to be generic about it, like kind of the graffiti style, and just kind of the wild characters, as well as just kind of unabashed, like, freedom that goes into music, I think. I definitely would put in, and I listen to music the whole time I do my illustrations, so that would, I guess, in some other subtle way, it affects what I do, yeah.
And as far as like music, so people know what we're talking about, this is primarily hip hop. And
no, it's all over, yeah.
All over.
For shows that I've done, yes, it's primarily hip hop and live band stuff, but one could have a plethora of different styles that inspire creativity and stuff.
Sure. What about, so you were living in Eugene. When did you move to Monterey County, and how did that figure into your visual art?
Wow. I moved to Monterey in 2008, around June 2008. It figured into my art because when I moved here, I didn't have a job really, and I kind of didn't know anyone, so I was at home a lot doing new working on my own thing. And Monterey's been really interesting as a base, as a base for me to do creative things. I never, in a lot of ways, I didn't think, before I moved here, I didn't think that this was going to be the place where I can, expand on my opportunities like that. But, slowly but surely, it definitely becomes that.
How does technology figure into your work?
Greatly at this point of my career. Like I said, I can't lie and say that I don't use technology all the time now. it's funny. It's kind of, to me, it kind of seems like it's akin to the way that we use our cell phones and forget people's phone numbers, you know? It's you know, we could still get the call there, but we're not writing it down on a piece of paper anymore, or, you know, even using DJ software instead of carrying 5 crates of records somewhere. And it's just, it kind of makes things accessible. The digital tools that are offered nowadays are pretty amazing, and they really help to achieve a hand. I mean, you're using everything that you would use with a paintbrush, but you have a digital pen instead. You know, so yeah, and that relates to the style of the pieces that I do. Kind of, they're both. You know, I'll start with a sketch in a sketchbook, all pencil or ink, maybe do a little bit of paint or a little bit of marker, of like Prismacolor marker or color pencil on top of that, and then scan that in or photograph it, and then do a lot of work with a Wacom Cintiq tablet, which is pretty much another monitor where you can draw right onto the monitor using Painter or Photoshop or something.
Okay. And is there a particular piece that illustrates that process?
Yeah, I would say the Keeper of Time would be one. That's a pretty intensive piece. It's a image of a goddess type woman sitting on moon with a lot of different geometrical patterns kind of built into her skin, and her head is this exploding kind of sun with different geometrical patterns, and she's the keeper of time.
So how do you come up with an idea? How do you come up with that? Where's the inspiration come from? Does it come from, like, you have a certain goal that you're trying to get to, or do you start just letting the influences kind of seep in and coalesce?
That might be part of it. That might be a lot of part of it. I might be just kind of soluble to influences from all around, from just my daily looking around things and how I feel the world interacts with itself, and humans interact with the world, and yada yada. It could go on forever, really. A lot of it is just sitting there by yourself, and being able to have that time to yourself to really just let your hand do its thing, and let it so it looks cool to you, and not really care about what anyone else thinks.
Talk about some of the different styles of your work.
Sure. There's some that are very direct and to the point. You could look at them and say, hey, that's something recognizable. I know that's a person with trees coming out of their head or something. I mean, what does it mean is all up to the viewer. And then there's a lot of work that I do, like I said, flyers and posters, very text heavy, very character design interactivity like based, lines and where you draw your eye and geometric shapes and stuff, rather than having characters doing things. Everything from big sweeping events to macroscopic minutia that may not have ever been illustrated, I try to do.
Okay.
So
and you've also done commission work, in a sense, for the weekly.
Oh yeah. Yes, the weekly. Yeah. And, I love doing stuff like that. That's great. It's it's cool when an organization or publication can have faith in your creative interpretation of what they're doing, with the writing, and and it could help.
So how do you balance your creative work with family and realistic needs, like paying
bills,
the mortgage and bills and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, that's hilarious.
Bills.
It's bills, man. I have I have a way. I've been kind of training myself to do that for a lot of years, and it's been a lot of years of before I had a family and before I had that mortgage and car payment and all that stuff. Of kind of eating it, you know, and just saying, hey, you know, I love doing this, and hopefully one day I can take care of people while doing this also. But it doesn't just come, you know, right off the bat. You really have to work it, and, you know, marketing yourself and you know, especially as a freelancer, the hardest parts are sometimes just getting people to recognize that you're A, available, and B, like capable and competent in creating something that they would want, you know, in your vision. So you have to really market yourself and separate that ego of the creative person with the other part of the ego, telling people that you're so cool and that they want to give you money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where can people see your work now? Like website or places?
www.hanifwondir.com, and that's with an IR, because it's kind of what rappers do nowadays, is they just misspell things on purpose. So it's hanifwondir.com is where I post a lot of newer stuff, and there's a pretty good variety of things there as far as editorial and illustrations and stuff like that. So it's kind of the big one.
Okay, excellent. Hanif, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Hello, my name is Berniz House, the Community Outreach Coordinator for Monterey County. On this episode, the Korean community of Monterey County got together to celebrate Korean Day in Salinas. Please enjoy their beautiful dance and Korean drum performance. And if you'd like more information, please visit our webpage.
Thanks so much for watching, and thanks to all of our guests today. As you can see, we are very fortunate to live in a region with so much diversity and vitality.
The arts are magical, but nothing happens by magic alone.
So join us on camera to tell your story, or join us behind the scenes.
Find out more and get more involved today. We think you too will discover
The arts are the answer.